Good evening, everybody. Forgot to have that on there. Now that I can take it off. I am Charlie Lambden. This is Moving Home with Charlie, and you are in the right place to find out what's happening in the property market ahead of everybody else. You are early adopters. You are intrepid information seekers, and that's relevant to this evening's conversation. Now, let me get this up on the screen. Just trying to keep up with everything that's happening has been exhausting. Okay, and this evening, I want to talk about the Mexican standoff that's happening and beginning to happen. It's actually kind of in full swing in the property market. Okay, but let's just quickly have a catch up. Now, everything I talk about is in relation to how it affects the housing market. Today, the pound fell on the back of the news about inflation going back up. This is bad news. Inflation going back up is just bad news for everyone. Liz Truss appeared for Prime Minister's questions this morning or at noon and was surprisingly punchy, actually. And just this evening has won the fracking vote, which was will she, won't she, by some people because she thought there'd be a bit of a rebellion. But no, she won that vote by a comfortable margin. And Rightmove has reported that asking prices are still going up. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. So am I wrong? Have I wrong about house prices falling? Well, we'll get into that. Just remember, asking prices don't mean anything. There's asking prices, there are agreed prices, and there are actual prices. And I'm going to give you an explanation for why I am very confident that the asking prices have slightly gone up as far as Rightmove is concerned. And in fact, it is happening, okay? And it's to do with the relation of the early adoption curve and information on who knows what and when. So today I received a long message from a veteran estate agent who has been in the industry for long enough to remember the 1970s downturn and recession and the effect on the housing market, as well as the 90s one and the 2008 one. And he thinks that we are still, the estate agency industry itself is still 1 to 2 weeks away from what I call the oh fuck moment, which some of you have heard me talk about before. By the way, I'm still powering my way through this stuff. I've just got 2 more cans to go, so I thought I'd distract myself from the taste of it by doing the live stream at the same time. The oh fuck moment, as far as estate agents are concerned, is when they suddenly realize that their transactions have effectively ground to a complete halt and that there are no new transactions to agree for the foreseeable future. Okay, now why does that happen? There's something funny about this. I don't know why I'm finding anything about this entertaining, but I think what I'm finding entertaining is that there are still some people out there, including a lot of people putting their houses on the market to sell, who think that putting them on at a higher price, given all the news, is a good idea. So this is what's happening. You've got properties coming onto the market, and whether it's the estate agent or whether it's the seller deciding to put the asking price on higher, we don't know. But as one of my viewers asked me just the other night, because he's got to sell, he asked the question, should I put my house on 10% more than I want to get for it so that I can accept an offer 10% under asking price and still get what I want? Now, I understand why that is the first thought that comes to people's heads when they want to sell their home and they hear that house prices are falling and that offers are falling and there are down valuations happening. But it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. I mean, there might be rare exceptions where it works, where you've got a particularly desirable property and you've got cash buyers fighting over it and they don't care that they're paying top dollar. There may be exceptions, but in the mainstream property market, that won't work, okay? Because the Mexican standoff is sellers going, that's our selling price. Sorry, that's our asking price. And buyers going, that's our buying price. We can't offer you any more than that, even if you want to, because we can't get a mortgage for that much anymore because interest rates have gone up, and so how much we can borrow has come down. So sorry, we can't bid any more than that, even if we want to. Sellers going, well, I'm not selling for anything less than that. Hence the standoff. Now, one of two things is going to happen. Either the buyers are going to have to start paying up, or the sellers are going to have to start coming down. The two prices meet and we have transactions again. I repeat, I am generalizing. There are plenty of exceptions to this, but in the mainstream market, this is what's happening, okay? And this is where I want to bring in the early adoption curve. So some of you, especially any of you who work in tech, you will have seen this, okay? And what we've got here is, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm on the right screen here. If you think about this curve as the adoption curve of people in the house moving market, at the moment, we are at the fairly early stage where really early on, those of you who've been watching me since August will have heard me saying house prices are going to fall. And since then, in the sort of August, September, October now, we've now had early adopter house movers who are tuning into videos like mine and taking an early interest in trying to actually really understand the market and doing their research. But the rest of the market, the main majority of the market is still under the impression that house prices are not falling and are still going to go up because they haven't done the research yet. And we are very conveniently, we've got this thing called the chasm. Now, the chasm is intended for a different purpose in this diagram. That's for the adoption of new technologies. But actually, this chasm represents the Mexican standoff we've got between buyers and sellers a little bit. Okay, because we've now got this gap during which time very few agents are going to be tying up new deals, at least not in the volumes that they're used to. And a certain amount of time needs to pass before the following happens. Let me just come back on the screen. So of all those sellers who have got the holding price up there, some of them, the earlier thinkers, are going to go, oh, hold on a second. I don't want to wait till everyone else starts dropping their price. We should drop our price now and start selling now. Let's get ahead. Let's take the hit. We need to get this property sold for whatever reason, and they'll drop the price. And a few will start dropping the price. And those buyers who are out there with lower levels of funding to buy, but who are still keen to buy because they need to move, will start to get bargains and lower priced properties. And what happens then is that after the first few minority of sellers have done that and dropped their price, the others start to get wind of it going, oh Christ, others are dropping their price. We better drop our price too. And then all of a sudden, they all drop their price. And then the buying price starts to fall away because there's too much property coming on the market. Prices are coming down and buyers are going, no, prices are falling, don't want to buy. Prices are falling, don't want to buy. And you end up in this situation where the market is falling and most sellers left it too late and are chasing the market down. And they keep on dropping it by, oh, let's drop it by 5, another 5, another 5. And before they know it, they drop their price 25, 30 grand. Whereas if they just dropped it 15 grand at the beginning, they'd have sold it. And if I've got sellers watching this video and you are in a position where you need to sell for whatever reason, I urge you to have a really frank conversation with your agent and say, what do we need to drop the price to get it sold now before everyone else starts dropping their prices and we have to drop it too far? Have that conversation. Okay, so the reason why Rightmove is showing asking prices have gone up slightly is because there's been a bit of a rush to the market. Now, I'll actually read you part of the message that I got. Excuse me one moment, I'll just get the right place here. There has been a flurry of new property coming to the market, with some vendors clearly realizing that 2023 will probably be a very sticky market and thus they are looking to move while they can. Agents also tell me that this new inventory is coming on at strong money, so will not sell quickly. In fact, with the cost of borrowing rising and homes being listed at super high values, many agents say that there is a Mexican standoff as the market decides whether it is a buyer's or a seller's market. Okay. He goes on to say, The biggest concern that agents are expressing is by far and away the new calm that seems to be enveloping the market. October is typically the month when the housing market starts to seasonally slow, but the fear of many agents is that by January, interest rates may have risen so much that the whole market stagnates. As one agent put it, people always want to move, but if the cost to move becomes too great, only those who have to will actually do so. The agent went on to say that new inquiries were slowing and there was definitely a feeling that the tap was being turned off. Now, that also echoes what I've been hearing from a number of mortgage brokers who I've been in contact with, saying that while remortgaging is very busy, new purchase mortgage applications have fallen off a cliff. And I've heard anything between 50 and 90% drops in new mortgage applications. And first-time buyers with mortgages are just going, in large numbers, are going, not now, not now, want to wait. So that's already happened, just as a whole bunch of new property comes to the market, but there's no one to buy it. So I don't know how long this part takes. I don't know how long it is before sellers start going, oh, let's just get it sold by Christmas, because if we wait till next year, it's going to be a bloodbath. Let's just take the hit now and get sold. And that's when you're going to see actual transaction prices falling, agreed prices falling, that will then be recorded later on when they actually complete an exchange. So yes, there are higher asking prices, but asking prices are just like wish prices. And if you think the average transaction price for a home in the country is at its highest is 270,000. The average asking price on Rightmove is 370,000. What does that tell you, right? The average asking price is 100 grand higher than the average transaction price. And it's always about that big a difference. What does that tell you? Okay, so asking prices are hope and dreams, and they're not pragmatic. Selling prices all matter, and intelligent sellers who've got good agents who know how to present the properties really well to attract more interest will sell at the best available prices. I had a private message on Twitter this evening from someone who says this is a buyer who's had the offer accepted, was looking forward to buying and moving in, and the mortgage valuations come back and the lenders said, nope, it's 12% overvalued. The price you agreed that transaction at is 12% too high. It's one little anecdote, but the point is, agent sold it, seller agreed it, buyer agreed it, lender's gone, nope, that's 12% too high. Okay, so yeah, I don't know how long it takes before sellers start taking big hits on their asking price to get the sale completed. And there's also a bit of a scramble with agents to hold together existing transactions. But again, with the best one in the world, some of those are falling apart because lending criteria have changed, or mortgage offers have expired. Sometimes mortgage offers expired not because the seller didn't want to sell, because the seller hasn't found their new home and can't buy. So I've seen a whole load of stories like that with chains just collapsing because one person in the chain's like, we're out now. And if you've been in a chain that's organized, that's been in existence for a few weeks or a couple of months, you haven't got a queue of people waiting to take your place right now. That's the problem. That is the problem. So let's just touch on what's going to happen. How long is it going to happen? We've got inflation still going up. That's not good news for interest rates. We don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. Some people are saying interest rates are going to come down. Well, they will at some point, but not anytime soon. Not in any period of time that's going to help people looking to move house now. Not in my view, anyway. Asking prices mask what's happening at the coalface of agreed prices. So there's just no transparency about what's happening with agreed prices, although I will keep my ear to the ground with agents that I talk to. But the political uncertainty has just increased again today. I mean, literally just this afternoon with Suella Braverman either being fired or resigning, whatever story you read. And I want to wrap up this part of my chat with what I see on the political landscape, because it's weighing insofar as it affects the housing market. And it's this: I think that the powers that be behind the scenes of the Tory party have actually decided that keeping Liz Truss in place is their least bad option right now, even though she's made all the mistakes that she's made, and she's caused all of this disharmony within the party. I think they're saying that if they were to go to a leadership contest now, they would probably end up having to face Labour's call for a general election. If Labour called for a vote of no confidence in the government, there might be a chance that because Tory MPs would be voting to save their own neck with their constituents and would want to get voted back in, they would say yes to a general election, even if it meant their government losing power. So I think there's my sense is that there is total chaos behind the scenes in the government at the moment. Total chaos. I mean, this morning in Prime Minister's questions, Liz Truss got up and said, no, the triple lock on the pension is staying, guaranteed staying. Just when Jeremy Hunt a few days earlier said, no, we're not necessarily keeping anymore. What's happening? And I think that the people who are worried about the long-term future of the Tory party are saying, keep her in place right now until things calm down, and we'll change the leader in due course when we can do so with minimum disruption. But there are so many angry Tory MPs and angry ministers with the whole scenario. They're like, no, we've got to change it now. And I don't know. I just think that this is all looking more uncertain again, which is going to not be good for the markets. And I think that the calm we've had over the last few days, I mean, Jeremy Hunt did successfully calm the markets, but perhaps only for 48, 72 hours. I mean, I just don't know what's going to happen now. There are people on the radio today, Tory MPs and ministers, saying this could all within the next few days. I honestly can't tell. I have no idea. Neither would surprise me. Neither would surprise me. But I was surprised at how punchy Liz Truss's performance in Question Time was. I really was quite surprised at how resilient she was in the face of the predictable attacks. It's almost like she's enjoying the flack or enjoying the attention. Bizarre. So, are we facing more political uncertainty? I think that has crept up again a little bit, which is again why I think, for people who can afford to wait, I know that there are those of you who can't, but for people who can afford to wait, I would just be waiting for this to play out. No one knows what's going to happen. We've got if Liz Truss is pushed or jumps in the next few days, is Jeremy Hunt going to stay in place? Is his budget going to stay in place? Is the 31st of October fiscal statement still going to happen? We just don't know. So I think that it's a bit of a false dawn of political stability in the last few days. And I suspect that there are people who just want to set fire to that side in Downing Street. They just want to go, right, had enough, absolutely fed up. Let's just fuck it. We can't go on like this. It's too embarrassing and shocking. Let's just hurry up and get it over with. And there are others still trying to hold it together. I mean, that's my very, very approximate feeling of what's going on there behind the scenes. Right, guys, let's take some of your questions. It's just YouTube tonight, by the way. I'm not doing TikTok at the same time. I've decided to try it without TikTok. So, no, that's true. The Tories do not have a clear plan for succession. Sir Ari Knem says Boris is on his way back. Well, I think that's unlikely. It's not impossible, but I suspect that they're kicking themselves at having decided to remove him when they did. How much do I think they'll put interest rates up in the next two meetings before Christmas? That's a really good question. I don't really know. I'm expecting a 1% hike in interest rates on the 3rd of November. It's just my own personal feeling. It wouldn't surprise me if it was even higher than that, 1.25%. They've got to hit inflation where it hurts as fast as they can. So will they do another one before Christmas? I don't know. I mean, what everybody needs, and if you're a home mover wondering what to do, you'll understand this. Businesses need certainty. They need to know what's happening with the tax rules. They can't make plans or decisions. So we've got a situation where even when we're already going into recession, we've now got uncertainty making businesses just have to put their plans on hold. House building plans and all of that. When will it be bargain time? I mean, if I was a cash buyer in no hurry, but waiting to buy a home, I certainly wouldn't be bothering with anything before Christmas. Yeah, I think 1.25% could be Yeah, another. So yeah, so I mean, it could be 2% more by Christmas. I mean, we could see bank rate at 4.4%, 4.25% by Christmas. We could do maybe 3.75%. I don't know. I think the fact that the 2-year fixed rate is now at 6.5% on mortgages is pricing in their expectations of 4% bank rate soon. Now, I had another question today, which is worth. Someone said to me, "What about if you're buying now? What about looking at the standard variable rate, the tracker rate?" Well, right now the tracker rate is a lot cheaper than the standard variable rate, so it's something that in recent years no one really paid much attention to tracker rates, but actually maybe tracker rate is worth looking into. Do your sums, because even if the fixed rate's there, the tracker rate's there, and then after a while it ends up higher, you've got quite a long time until you become worse off. So definitely worth looking at tracker rates. Caketon asks why they're not raising interest rates right now. Because they're my opinion is that they don't like to make interest rate rises before scheduled Bank of England policy committee meetings. To do so would be seen as an emergency move and a bit of a panic move. What else do we have? Am I surprised that asking prices are still rising? Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. I mean, I really thought that with all of the mainstream coverage, that people might be putting houses onto the market and asking prices leveled off with a bit of hope of factoring in 10%. But I am surprised to see asking prices going up. But it just kind of tells you how many people aren't paying attention. Well, Joey asks me, when do I think the oh fuck moment will happen? Everyone's still in denial. I think everyone's still in denial too. But I think that what we see in the mainstream press is reporting what's happened, and we won't see what's actually happened at the coalface of the state agency for some time yet. So I think the oh fuck moment for the mass market is going to be in the spring next year, when the land registry finally starts reporting house price falls. I think a lot of people are just going to hold on like rabbits in the headlights. They're going to hold on until March or April next year before they actually come to their senses and start dropping prices. So yeah, I think estate agents are going to see transactions drop because there's already plenty of evidence to me from mortgage brokers that new purchases have just almost ground to a complete halt. So the best time, if you weren't in a hurry, I'd be waiting until at least the spring. And then in the spring, I'd be going out and I'd be looking at stuff all the time and finding the low-hanging fruit, the extra motivated sellers who are desperate to sell, and just be out there looking. And if you're the one out there looking, you'll get those really good deals before everyone else does. Let me see, what other questions do we have? Matteo Moroni, will you be stung by a crazy interest rate? I don't know. Are you currently with a mortgage? Are you trying to buy now? Are you planning to buy next year? That's a vague question. I need more information to answer a question like that. Wow, Jack Waldron says my affordability has halved from 350 to 175. I can borrow, but in your area, flat is more. Okay, I'd like to give some first-time buyers whose budget has been reduced by how much you can borrow some comfort. I think in the end, at some point, the market will find its new equilibrium. It will. People need to move, and they have to move. So eventually, asking prices will fall to the levels affordable by first-time buyers in the mainstream market. Eventually, that will happen. Okay, I don't know how long that will take. I don't know how long that will take, but I mean, for the mainstream market to really get down there, it's going to be over a year. I think at least a year. Some human asks me, do you think that there's a chance first-time buyers will prop up the housing market through fear and scarcity? I don't really understand what you mean by through fear and scarcity. First-time buyers, no matter how much they want to buy, they can only buy if they've been lent enough money to buy. And as that other person just said, the amount they could borrow is just halved. So how can first-time buyers prop up the market if the amount they can borrow is reduced so much? Um, Nick Jones says, has the Mexican housing crash started? I don't know. Good question. Matteo, I don't know what your question is. Um, but yes, I mean, a year from now, you are going to be looking at higher interest rates. I'm pretty certain. Thomas Moran asks, could Airbnb owners be in a bit of trouble in the next few months with reduced occupancy? I think absolutely yes. In the countryside, and not so much in the towns. In the towns and the cities, I'd be okay, but in the countryside, the sort of holiday Airbnb market, I think it's going to get severely hit. Yes, I do think that, which might bring more property back onto the market. I often get asked, can I recommend good sites or apps for property data, keeping an eye on what's going on? There are no sites or apps that give you what's going on at the coalface of the property industry. If you want to, all the sites and apps have only got asking prices and then historic prices, and they're easy to find. I mean, Zoopla's got the land registry is the best place to get that. But what matters if you're a buyer is to know what's happening at the coalface in the area that you want to buy, and the only way to do that is to be out there viewing properties. If you are viewing properties, you will hear from estate agents what's actually happening. In private, they will tell you. So if you really want to know what's happening in the market where you're looking to buy, the only way to find out what's happening at the coalface is to be out there looking at properties. And I urge you to do so if you're a first-time buyer looking to buy, even if you're not ready to buy financially yet. If you want to know what's happening, get out there and look. Well, Asbestos, I'm actually hoping that Best Agent will be able to start providing local stats. We've actually already got by county and by postcode. I've got that. If you get, I can even give you a sort of, for instance, now if you give me a postcode. Yeah, listen, you're not going to see mainstream asking prices falling significantly across the board just yet. You're probably going to see that start in January. Honorary Zuma, I'm not up on the relationship between land prices and house prices. I'm very much focused on people who want to buy homes, get into homes right now. It's not an area that I know. Let me see if I can find. Let's have a look and see what I've got on one of these postcodes. All right. So in B28, there are 35 estate agents listing 167 properties. That's not very many properties between 35 estate agents. And Smart Homes Limited in Shirley. I've got 40 of them. I can share that screen with you actually. So B28, I can give you. This is just asking stuff, right? And it's just broken down by agent. Okay, you ready, guys? So this is B28 coming up right now. Here we are. All right. So this is so the average value is 309,000 and those are the agents listing them. Average price, and look at the difference in average and median prices. They can be quite big differences, although they're quite close there. But yeah, so I'm hoping to start providing highly localized property market data with the whole property market in it. That's Best Agent data you just saw. Soon, and actually providing it on a weekly basis potentially, so you can see weekly movements. Sorry, it was blurred. Guys, I'm going to actually call it a day. It's 30 minutes now, and I've got some family time lining up. So I'm going to say thank you for watching again. Have a great evening. Keep your questions coming. Twitter is the best place to interact with me on a day-to-day basis. _Charlie on Twitter. I come and thank all my new subscribers. And also apologize for the lack of pre-recorded videos with advice. I just haven't had any time to get around to doing those. I did record one today about the mainstream property websites. I'm going to see how that comes out. But in the meantime, just don't overpay, guys. Just don't overpay. If you must buy, just don't overpay. Thanks, Jose. Thank you, Joey. And LW. Thanks all of you. Nice to see you all again. Have a good night.